The fix is in. The Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. It's that simple. Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby. Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, the Sports Fix on social media. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
This is Greg Pruitt, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
And away we go, off and running. Welcome in, live on the air, across the airwaves of the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rocc cracking the mic on an end of the week edition of the Sports Fix here. And man, we're going to have some fun today, man. I am bound and determined that the limitations of today's sports stuff to do and get it, I don't care. We're going to have some fun today. We've got, Jonathan Knight, the sports writer extraordinaire. He's back. He's been in the shadows for the last couple of weeks. He's back in the house here. Just about 15 minutes from now, JK is going to join me here, and always a lot of fun there. We'll catch up with him, and we've got Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Blah, blah, blah. Let's try that again. Cleveland Cavaliers beat writer for More Than a Fan Cleveland. Eddy's going to join us in hour 2. We'll talk some Cavaliers as they continue the home slate here. We'll talk about that with Eddy, the latest week, look ahead as well, and a whole lot of things to get into. Got some time here where I'm going to open up the phone lines for you guys, try to get a couple of phone calls in here. We're going to talk about all of that, so much more, and do the thing. So would you like to? Should we? Shall we? We shall. Welcome into the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers. Call me what you will. Just call me happy to have you here each and every day. Seriously, live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Noon, you guys are here. We do the thing on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app. Perhaps that's how you listen to the show. Fantastic way to do it. Maybe you listen live on Spreaker or Mixler or their respective digital and mobile applications as well. TheSportsFix.net, the home base, baby. The one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports and Sports Fix. It's right there. Bookmark it if you haven't. TheSportsFix.net. Welcome in as well. Those of you that don't do the thing live, you do it on digital delay 24/7 around the world. Thousands of you who enjoy the show perhaps on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes and Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud, CarPlay, all of the various smaller and unique, nothing but good love here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. However you do it, subscribe it, feed it, download it, podcast it, whatever. Thank you so much for doing it, and do it. As we say all the time, today, going to have some time to open up the phone lines. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Not going to crack them early because we got JK coming on in just a few minutes. But after that, in between JK, Eddy Jansen, I've got some open phone line time, and we haven't really had a chance to do a whole lot of that here this week. So 216-539-7535. Hey, social media, as always, the way to get a hold of us 24/7. Facebook, Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE, facebook.com/the SportsFix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE. Email us thesportsfix@aol.com. Always to stay in touch with the show 24/7. Couple of things I saw Charles ask in the chat room tonight after the show. Heading out to Willoughby, heading out to the gym at Willoughby South. I'll tell you what, I after the one the other night, I don't know how much what we're gonna see tonight, but I'm all up for it, man. I've got basketball tonight. Geneva, Willoughby South, WINT 13:30 a.m. I'm not sure if this one's on the broadcast wing or if this is just on WINTradio.com. Either way, doing the high school basketball thing tonight. I am definitely looking forward to that. Speaking of looking forward, and to be honest with you, I don't have the exact time, but I know that it's sometime in the next couple of hours. The world premiere is happening here today, Friday at least, as we speak. The world premiere of the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. I've told you guys just a little bit here on the show that I am one of the featured people. I have not seen the finished. That's the thing, is that there's going to start being reviews and things coming out this weekend. I don't have the slightest clue how this thing goes, what it's like. I've been told that it is very good. It's supposedly powerful. And you know what? This film festival that it's debuting in this weekend had 7,500 films to choose from. They only chose, I think it's a dozen films or something like that. And out of 7,500, this was one of them. So who knows? I'm hearing that it may be one of those that transcends beyond just a niche audience of people that know wrestling and guys like that, but into the whole human interest, because there's a story there for sure. And I saw parts of it while I was there filming my part, but obviously I saw nothing else beyond that. So very curious to see. It makes its world debut at this film festival that it's at here. Starts today, and then I think it makes its second airing in a couple of days. But so some point this weekend, I'll find out, because people will start talking about it. But and speaking of talking about it, real quick, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more with Jonathan Knight here in a minute. This whole DeflateGate thing. Listen, let me deflate your gate here for a second, man. All I'm going to say, I told you guys yesterday my thoughts on this thing, man, and just allow me to channel your inner Jesse Ventura for a second, man. Let me tell you something. It was an inside job. I'm telling you, just hear me out, man. The eyes of the media world are descending. You guys know how Super Bowl week is. You guys know how it is. Descending down. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of media eyes of everything on this. What has this entire season been about in the media all season long? Ray Rice, that was this season. Adrian Peterson, that was this season. Greg Hardy, so on and so forth. Roger Goodell. All of these nasty things, right? And somehow, the NFL has got it to where everybody is talking about deflated footballs. It's the old watch my right hand while my left hand pulls the magic trick. You know what I'm saying? It's so clear to me what's going on. I was talking to some buddies last night, and I said, I know this sounds all conspiracy theory, but we were all in agreement that this is so convenient for the NFL. And Belichick will not be held responsible for it because he didn't have anything to do with it. Tom Brady, he didn't have anything to do with it. But what Tom Brady did was he knew that the balls perhaps were a little bit, hey, man, I'm not going to say nothing, man. It's like the pitcher that gets the ball back and he notices there's a scuff on it. Is he the honest one that tosses it back to the umpire? Or does he make the next pitch and use that little scuff to his advantage? I would say 7 out of 10 throw that next pitch. Maybe 3 of them toss it back. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, seriously, think about where the focus of everybody is on. The organization will get fined. Somebody will take the fall for this. Some unknown person will be held responsible for this. I'm telling you. And look, just this is so clear to me. And it's such a ridiculous thing. It's just enough to be called cheating, but just enough for other people to snuff it off as ridiculous. This is a dream scenario for the NFL. So I guess I should believe, A, they stumbled into this, luckily, fortunately, blessed, or B, this is as coordinated as any pro wrestling match you can be a part of. Everybody likes to throw that out there. Hey, let me tell you something. This is as much a work as anything I've ever seen in my life. You can't convince me of this. I believe the NFL had, and I don't mean they had little green men off in the locker room, but they had somebody off in the locker room, much like the Indians had people climbing through the rafters trying to snatch baseball bats. I'm telling you, the NFL, this is so conveniently convenient for them. It's not even funny. And it is funny. That's what makes it funny. But seriously, think about it. All the questions, all of these things that were coming, and all of the questions about all of the domestic violence, all of these things, man. The NFL Players Association. Look, I get it, the logistics of them arguing that the new policy that the NFL set it hasn't been collectively bargained. But how good does that make you look, that you're trying to get that thrown out because of the personal conduct stuff? I mean, that just makes it look like you want your guys to be able to get away with stuff. But anyways, these are all things that these thousands, and it's not even just media, by the way. Remember, this is the week where they send all the hack journalists, they send the models down with their trick questions in bikinis. People ask, Tom Brady, will you marry me? And this and that and the other thing. They do all the joke, all that stuff that people send down for the Super Bowl here. All of the serious, heavy-handed issues that the NFL would have to talk about and deal with and answer questions that they don't want to answer. They don't have to answer as many of them this week because they've got to answer a whole lot more questions about PSIs and ball weight and deflated balls and let's make all those jokes. And boy, the Patriots have just enough of a reputation where this will stick and not enough where we would have to, hurt the franchise because they didn't actually do it. I'm telling you, the more I think about this, the more I'm convinced that I'm telling you, there was somebody on this grassy knoll for sure. That's all I'm saying, is there was not just Bill Belichick was not alone in the New England State Depository on this one. And I don't care. Call me Jesse Ventura, call me conspiracy guy or whatever, but this is just way too convenient after the season that the NFL had for this to be. It's just right there, man. It's like, it's cake. I don't know. Anyways, that's my thoughts on that. Like I said, call me crazy. We'll talk some more about that. Hey, you know what? Let's get the break in. Let's get Jonathan Knight, sportswriter extraordinaire, in here and talk to him a little bit. I want to see what he thinks about that. Let's see if he thinks I'm crazy, man. We'll get JK here in on the conversation. We'll talk a little bit. Hey, Cleveland Sports Awards last night. Tom Hamilton got a Lifetime Achievement Award, and we'll talk about that. Athlete of the Year, Corey Kluber. We'll talk about all of that. A little DeflateGate, talk some Browns and more. Sportswriter extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight. He's been gone for a few weeks. He is back. I felt like we've been the Cavs lately, man. Like, we've gotten, you get this guy back and then you get that guy back. You get this guy back and then that guy's out. Seems like since Christmas, we have never had the whole complement back. This week at least, hey, JK back in the fold. But he's here. Jeff Gorman's out today. Hey, man, it's just the way. And Ryan Ruiz just disappeared, man. He's looking for his dog bones, man. So that's the way it is, man. Let's take a break. Come on back and do it. Jonathan Knight here doing the thing with us. Sports writer extraordinaire in the house. Next, live on the Sports Fix.
Get your fix.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got to do.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Sports Fix listeners, you've heard me talking about it. Millionaires being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. I've been playing there too. It's now J-Rocc's favorite one-week fantasy football site. What's one-week fantasy football? That means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Have a player who's hurt? That's no problem at all because you change everything week to week. Injuries don't derail your chance at victory. It's a new season every week. You're never stuck with the same players. You can pick your team in just minutes and be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day. $1 million just for playing fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play for free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com. No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD, the excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials. Fight fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens. And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger. Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious. What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Hello, this is Mo Williams. Be sure to listen to Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. That's right, Mo Williams, Player of the Week in the Western Conference last week. Dropped that Mo-Flow for 52 points. Well, see, he knows what he's talking about. Listen to the Sports Fix. Welcome back. J-Rocc back with you here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Sportswriter extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, about to join me here. It's been a few weeks on the hotline. You guys keep the conversation rolling on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with me at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. I'm telling you, I'm going to go see if Jonathan Knight thinks I'm crazy. Let's just see. I hear some of you. I see Charles in the chat room, too. You got to see. I mean, Charles likes to make these little memes, these little pictures of me, and he made a good one of me with the, I'm telling you, I admit it, I deflated those footballs, man. I made a nice little payoff from the NFL, too. But let me see if JK thinks I'm crazy. Sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, on the hotline. JK, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, Jerry, and we'll just cut to the quick yes. I think you're probably crazy. I don't even know what we're talking about, but I'm just going to go ahead and say yes.
That's cool, man. I can appreciate that. We've done this a while. You would know what you're talking about. But seriously, I just went all Jesse Ventura here before we went in the break here. Totally, like I said, I don't care. There's somebody on the NFL's grassy knoll here, man. Think about this. All the dirty laundry this season, the Ray Rice, the AP, all of the domestic violence cases and guys getting suspended. Roger Goodell, should he lose his job? Biggest media scrum of the season is always the 2 weeks here between the Super Bowl coming up, all of this stuff. And the NFL has everybody talking about deflated footballs. Come on, man. There is something so suspicious about this, it's not even funny.
Well, I think this is a case of the NFL has made their own bed. Now they got to lie in it. I think, it's, in a way, it's sort of the perfect storm of just silliness, because this let's face it, I was tired of this story about 30 seconds after
it's
it broke.
ridiculous.
It clearly had, it had no impact on the game. Let's not start this, that's all been said. But the point is that this is you reap what you sow. This is the NFL, as you said, after this year that they have had, riddled with scandal and controversy and conspiracy and all of these types of things. It's only appropriate that we have something come up during the two weeks prior to the Super Bowl in this maelstrom of media coverage, and they're going to seize on anything that looks like a scandal, because they've been the media, that is, has been so trained to look for it in the NFL. And so were this in any other year, I think the story would have been over in about a day. I think this would have boiled off. But now that two things. One, that because it comes when it does after the year that the NFL has had, and because it involves Belichick and the Patriots, who have a history of this type of thing, so they're stuck a little to the ribs a little more. Well over this story and really tired of hearing it. But the NFL deserves this. This is the kind of garbage they have been shoveling for at least the past year, probably more than that if you factor in the concussion gate and whatever gate suffix you want to tack on to any topic that is the NFL has been involved with in the last 5 years or so. Yeah, this is you reap what you sow. You made your bed, now you got to lie on it. Find your expression that you like and stick with it, because this is the NFL, and this is what they got to deal with now. This is the reality of the NFL.
I hear you there, but I'm looking at it from a different tack, though. If you're going to be talking about something, I think this is so convenient for them, because it is something that people can slough off as ridiculous, but it's gotten a life of its own. But we're talking about an innocuous thing. People aren't talking about Ray Rice. Nobody's asking questions so far this week. I mean, I know there'll be more of that to come, but the thrust of the focus is not on the ugly stuff, JK. It's not on the really nasty stuff that they don't want people talking about during their big week. It's on this. It's on this issue that's a non-issue. I think that's convenient. I'm telling you, I don't think the Patriots cheated at all. I think the NFL.
So it's more of a smoke screen. You see it more as a smoke screen.
Yes, it's
okay.
Look at the right
hand. That's an
hand.
interesting theory. There again, it dovetails with what I'm thinking. That yes, that's true. That is that is possible. But at the same time, I think that's playing with fire, because if you look at the stories that have come out this week, yes, there's a lot of emphasis on that, and no one is talking specifically about Ray Rice or Peterson or whatever else. But you are seeing those stories brought up in context, as like you said.
True.
That, this is quite a year for the NFL. This is just the way to top it. So those stories are being echoed and referred to and pivoted to in these stories about this silly deflating controversy. So while they're not talking about them directly, they are being brought up, and everyone's being reminded of them. And I don't know that they would have been, at least to this extent, were there no smacking of controversy going into this week. So I don't know. I mean, it totally would make sense, and I don't dismiss that theory out of hand, because it is something that the NFL, and not just the NFL, I think any major corporation, any business would do that's in the spotlight to take attention away, politics particularly. I mean, that's the big one, to wag the dog type of scenario, where you don't like there's something bad being said about you in the media, so you create something else. So, let's start a war and let's have everybody talk about that. So yeah, totally, this would not be out of the question. But it is a risk. I don't know that it does necessarily take the spotlight away from Ray Rice and the bad year the NFL has had, because this just seems like the cherry on top of a miserable Sunday that the NFL has dished out all season long.
Oh, I hear you, man. I'm having a little fun with it too. At the end of the day, nobody will be held personally liable for this unless they find a ball boy or a towel boy or somebody that's willing to take a payday and take a fall on this thing and fall on the Patriots' sword. But the organization as a whole will, take a hit. But I thought it was funny listening to him yesterday. I don't think Bill Belichick had a single thing to do with anything. I know people don't like him, some around here, but I do, and I really don't. But I don't believe Tom Brady had anything done to the footballs, but I think that he knew the second he started using them that he liked them a little bit more. But like I said before you came on, to me, that's like the pitcher getting the ball back and it's got a little scuff on it. And does he throw it back to the umpire or does he use it to his advantage on that next pitch, you know? And I look at it kind of like that. But either way, it's so ridiculous, such a non-issue. They're holding press conferences on CNN. They're broadcasting it on CNN yesterday, man. You know, we've got all kinds of real stuff going on, and we had to talk to Tom Brady about the deflated footballs, man. So, anyways, I'm just saying, man, I get a kick out of this sometimes, man. It's it's the definition of a slow news week. You can say that for sure.
Yes, it's still 9 more days before they play an actual damn game. So yeah, what's in store next week? God,
I mean, look at some of the stories. You got guys, and you know what? Guys with microphones are the bane of all coaches. I saw the one guy already come out and said, I don't think Gronkowski's that good. I mean, listen, you can trash talk all you want, but that's one of the best tight ends in the game. Everybody knows Gronk can play some ball, man. So I go, man, you know, trash talk is one thing, but all you can do is say too many things when you have 2 weeks and nothing but microphones stuffed in your faces. Meanwhile, nobody's talking about what actually should be a fantastic football game when you get down to it, because you got a couple of really good teams and all of that, you know. But they've got plenty of time to 14-hour pregame shows and all of that. So we've got to have something to talk about. Now, I said it. I think I could see the pregame show. I could totally see somebody standing outside the room where they prepare the footballs, like Geraldo going into Jimmy Hoffa's vault. You know what I mean? And he's going, well, right now, there's a top secret group in there preparing the footballs. We're not allowed in, but we were told that there. And I'm telling you, there will be a whole pregame special about how the footballs are prepared for the Super Bowl. Watch.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. Yeah, it'll be a whole thing now. We'll carry this on. This will be a thing maybe during the regular season next year. We'll have a sideline report to check on the conditions of the ball, brought to you by AT&T, and then we'll go down to a sideline reporter. We'll say, yes, I'm holding the ball on a scale right now, or within 3 ounces of the actual weight, so we're good to go. Back up to you, Jim.
Rachel Nichols will be out there outside the thing. It's going to be great, man. I'm telling you. You know what, though? A side byproduct of this, because of all the, hey, Belichick did it and he should be suspended. I'll tell you what, I said it yesterday, is if coaches don't have enough of their checklist before they go into games, if you're going to be held responsible, if stuff's going to roll downhill onto you, well, now coaches have to go personally check the footballs before the game, too, you know, because I heard that was a dumb side of the argument, was people that told me even if Bill Belichick didn't know a thing, he should be suspended because he's responsible for everything. And I'm like, are you serious? Like,
well, again, this is because he has a bigger target on his chest because he's been accused and been proven guilty of this type of hanky-panky before. So, yeah, I mean, if this were things were flipped and it was the Seattle Seahawks and that were being accused of this, or any home team in any of the playoff games, the story would have burned out very quickly. I mean, it would have been over very fast. But because it is Belichick, it may not have even been a story, honestly. It may have been just completely dismissed out of hand. But because Belichick has that track record, and he has, you know, it's sort of like when you have a criminal record, it's hard to get a job. I mean, that'll follow you wherever you go. And it's just like it is with Belichick. Anytime anything comes up, but remember that? Yeah, you know, and particularly since he hasn't helped his own cause in that, well, yes, certainly the Patriots have always been good. They've never won a Super Bowl since VideoTapeGate. And it's like, was that the little edge that put him over the top? And maybe now it was deflating balls. Maybe that's an edge that was putting him over the top. I don't think either is true, but he's not helping his own cause. He's making himself look a little worse, because all of a sudden that's the one variable you take out of that situation, and a lot less Super Bowl rings now. So, yeah, I mean, he deserves all that is getting thrust upon him, even if it's silly. I think if this were happening to another coach, I'd feel bad for him, but I don't feel bad for Mr. Belichick today.
Oh, I hear you. Here's my other question, and I said this just as far as I get, like, okay, the 4 offensive linemen thing, that actually took some time for somebody to think of that, and I get that, but did it really take until 2015 for somebody to think of taking a little bit of air out of the footballs? Like, is it Nobody ever did that before, and that's impossible. There's no way. That's such a simple thing. If quarterbacks and receivers know that it's better to have a little bit of air out of the football, you got to think that somebody else tried to get away with that before, but it was caught supposedly rather easily. So if that's the case, then how is this only just now happening? I'm telling you, there's somebody on the grassy knoll, JK. I'm telling you, brother. This is a suspect story, my friend. Anyways, man, real quick before we let you go, hey, Browns have another offensive coordinator this week. What were your thoughts on that?
The only thing I want to talk about less than DeflateGate. Let's by all means, let's bring up the Browns' latest coaching hire, which I don't even call. This is I don't know anything, but I really don't have an opinion. I've reached that point where I'm a battered wife. It's apathy has sunk in at this point because I don't even look at him as an offensive coordinator. He's an offensive coordinator intern. He is going to work here for a year, and a year from now we will get another offensive coordinator, probably with a new head coach. This is just what the Browns do. I mean, this is like establishing a tradition. This is what they do. Every January they hire a offensive coordinator. Every other January they hire a new head coach. So this is, okay, who is it? What's his name? Okay, no mystery that nobody wants, just like with Pettin, with the head coach search a year ago, no mystery why nobody wants to come here as a head coach, no mystery why nobody wants to come here as an offensive coordinator either. So you're left with this reverse game of musical chairs, and you just find the guy who's just desperate enough, coming from that NFL powerhouse, the Raiders, which of course is a fraternity of people just use it as a stepping stone to NFL coaching greatness. With the track record they've had, made perhaps the only NFL team with a worse track record in the last 5 years or so than the Browns. I don't know. It's a bang play at first for that one. But needless to say, not excited about it. Can barely muster up enough energy to talk about it. Honestly,
I can tell. You know what though? It did bring up something that I wanted to bring up with you. This isn't not necessarily something you have to answer right now. But yesterday after the show, Mike Brandenberry was on with me, and afterwards we were talking a little bit, and he said, "Man, I got an idea. You and I could do this sometime or whatever." And I said, "Boy, that you could really do some conversations, and you could even go into different sports." And do it as well, but and I thought, man, I want to bring this up with JK, but just start with a simple way: the Browns since '99, not like all the mistakes they made, but like play the game where what would be of all the things they've done wrong since '99, the one that it was the mistake that and the butterfly effect. We were throwing some different things out, like just different hires and fires and all of that. But it's mind-numbingly crazy when you try to do it. But all the mistakes they made, what was the biggest one? The one that just did the most damage to everything, man. I'll tell you what, Mike's was a good one, man. He said, I got to tell you, of all the dumb things they've done, I think hiring Mike Holmgren may have been one of the most crippling because, and I understood his thought. There was a whole bunch. We'll get into it later. But, that's interesting, man. The one that, there's so many you could pick from. Yeah.
Right, and that's a fascinating question. I like that, and that you could do a whole show on that, Jerry.
Yes, right.
You could, and there's any number of there's no wrong answers, really. I mean, you can back up any theory you want. There'd be a lot of right answers, I can tell you that. I look at it, instantly, without really putting too much thought into it, I look at it as a two-pronged question, or a two-pronged answer, I suppose, really. To me, the ultimate answer, and this is go wrong, not necessarily of the Browns' own doing, but I think this die was cast by the NFL before the Browns ever existed. Because if you remember the way that the ownership was thrown together at the last minute, the Browns were screwed. We thought it was just going to be screwed for that very first year in '99. Because if you remember, it was this time of year in 1999. They didn't have a coach. They didn't have a front office. They just threw it together 8 months before their first game. They had no scouting department. They had nothing because the NFL dragged its feet so long in determining who the owner was going to be and what the ownership was going to be. Whereas in previous years and in years since, the expansion process, the expansion teams were in existence a good year and a half and had an infrastructure and in many cases a head coach and a GM and all of that well over a year before they ever played their first game. And the Browns were essentially 8 months. They were putting together a front office. Chris Palmer, you remember the old story, he was answering his own phone for the first few weeks he was the head coach because there were no secretaries. Yep. So that set the die. The die was really cast there. The Browns were screwed and never really recovered from that, and the tone was set right away. But that's flipping the question a little bit, because the Browns had no real say in that. They had no control over that. So the question, I think that it's in the spirit that it's posed, is what have the Browns done voluntarily? What stupid things did they do that set them along the lines? I mean, and again, first glance, the first thing that comes to mind, again, I go back to Chris Palmer. I don't know that he ever really should have been hired. It was, again, a situation where his musical chairs, and he had to grab somebody quickly. You've been turned down by Brian Billick, and you had to grab somebody. They grabbed Chris Palmer. Don't know that he ever really should have been the guy or ever would have been a good NFL coach, but I think booting him out the door and desperately wooing Butch Davis, I think that really showed that the Browns were going to be not the wisest not the wisest course of action. We're not going to follow the wisest course of action. But whatever the front office was going to be, they were going to be knee-jerk, and that set the tone. I think that Palmer, you could see that while 99 was just a loss, I think that was just, you throw that out the window. And 2000, there were so many injuries that season really did become a runaway train. But you could see in those first few weeks, when Couch was healthy and he had something of the first string out there with the offense and the defense, you could see there had been improvement. They won 2 of their first 3 games, and you could visualize this team could maybe win 7 or 8 games, and then the injuries came, and that was the end of that. You wind up with Spurgeon Wynn and Doug Peterson at quarterback, and that's the end of that. And then they fire Chris Palmer, and it really wasn't his fault. I think that had they just kept with Palmer, kept with, I hate to say it, kept Policy and Dwight Clark. I don't. Neither of those guys have a great track record. But again, we've talked about this time and again that it's not about real brilliance in the NFL to be successful. It's about consistency. So I think if they'd have been in there for another year, I think you would have seen the kind of resurgence that you saw under Butch Davis those first 2 years anyway. I think it had probably followed more or less the same path. And even if you fired Palmer a year or 2 later, I think at least then you'd have been okay. They would have been less about knee-jerk and less about doing silly things out of desperation. And that's all they've done since. I mean, Butch Davis, as much as we kind of point to him as well, he probably was the most successful coach the Browns have had since they've been back. I think he probably did as much or more damage than any of the other guys. And if you look at the players they could have had in the draft, just look at that alone. The players that Butch Davis passed up in the draft to draft guys who he either recruited to Miami or tried to recruit to Miami, simply based on that. Look at the guys that missed out on. Could have had LaDainian Tomlinson, could have had Richard Seymour. I mean, there's a long, long list of guys they could have had that they passed over.
Those
so,
were a couple.
Not to say that's the right answer or even the best answer, but those are the first ones that come to mind.
You nailed a couple there. Like we bounced back and forth, taking Warren with the gut feeling over Seymour or LaDainian Tomlinson, or to me, McNabb over Couch in hindsight looks easy. But wouldn't Donovan McNabb have gotten killed just as much as Tim Couch did because of the way the team was? So another one that he brought up that was a good one was just sticking with keeping Tim Couch on the bench for the whole first season, or at least
that's another great theory. Totally. That's another one I'd buy. That if you'd have kept Ty Detmer that very first year, you'd have won 4 or 5 games. Couch would not have taken the beat down that he did, and maybe would have had a promising, not promising, but at least a decent career. If he'd have been handed the job then that second year, I think things would have been a very, very different. I think certainly that first year and probably the second year would have turned out very, very differently. And if that happens, then I think Palmer keeps his job, and you have at least some sense of consistency. So, I think that's another great candidate right there.
And this is all the first decade, and like you said, the die was cast from the beginning. But to me, the other one, I got his point about Holmgren because I thought, and now this may be unpopular now to some people who aren't remembering correctly, but that he comes in, he gets rid of Mangini, who liked him or not, he was putting things right. Mike Pettin is Eric Mangini 2.0, if you don't realize it, man. He's doing the same things that Mangini tried to do with the culture and the toughness and responsibility and all of that stuff. Lazy veterans didn't like it, and those were problems for Mangini. But Holmgren got him out of the way and said, boom, I should have done this from the beginning. No, you should have left things alone. And when he came, look at least there were ups and downs in the first decade. From Holmgren on, it's a disaster. Every draft pick went wrong. Every decision went wrong. You could point to Mike Holmgren as being the biggest bad step that this franchise made since 99, even over that other stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point, and not only, and it's amazing because he wasn't here that long.
Right.
It was maybe 2 years? I mean, it was an incredibly short amount of time. So that's speaks volumes when you can point to a guy who's on the job for less than 2 years, and 5 years later, you're still pointing like, we're still digging our way out of the mess that you left. And another great point with Mangini. I think of all of the coaches that have been fired since 99, Mangini is the one who really got the rawest deal. I think several of them have. Most of them have not. Not to stand up for bad coaches and guys who should never have been there in the first place. But you're right. I think Mangini really had righted the ship to some extent. And I think there again, if you'd have kept with him for at least one more year, I think you really would have seen some dividends. And you did see some dividends, quite honestly, in that his last year in 2010 when they beat up New England and beat up New Orleans. You started to see little like, ooh, wow, there's some intelligence here. You can see that. So yeah, I look at that and I point to that as what if they'd have kept him, and maybe that would have countered some of the silly things that Holmgren was going to do in the draft. I don't know. Even if they'd have kept him for just one more year, maybe then we don't wind up with Shermer and we skip over that whole travesty and then just go on to the next travesty, the Chinzinski tragedy. There's any number of ins and outs you can look at this. But yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know that there's any wrong answers. I think there are some answers that are just more painful than others. It's a fun game.
Well, in certain ways, if you like to talk about sports, it's a fun game. I don't know, you have one too many drinks, it becomes a sad game. But anyways, man, I just thought, I brought it up because of what we were talking about there with this, because my worries, and I really do hope, listen, I'm with you about the guy coming from the Raiders and his career. I've talked about it a little bit this week. My hope is the one little glimmer in this is hopefully he is as willing as he says to fit his stuff to the pieces they got instead of trying to do it the hard way, because that's the only chance they have of, because this season goes wrong, Mike Pettin takes the fall for it, and then we're right back where we started. Mike Pettin needs to last another season. He needs 2 more seasons before you even start evaluating what he's doing. So I don't care if this guy comes in and sets the world on fire. He just needs to come in and just make it work the best he can. And if he can do that, they'll be okay. And that's fine. Okay doesn't get Mike Pettin fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and it really, I think we may look back at them starting 6-3 and winding up 7-9 this year as being a curse, because I think that's really going to be the standard that he's going to be held to next year. Is, well, you got to top that. I mean, if you went 7-9 with a 5-game losing streak at the end, my gosh, you got to be able to crack 500 and contend for the playoff next year. So, and when in reality this team was not that good. I mean, you look at, there's still some massive holes. This was, when in the final analysis, you look at this and say, well, it's about a 5-11 team, a typical 5-11 Browns team, and that's more likely what they're going to be next year. I think that we, once again, they somehow managed to have, we go from, which quarterback is it? We got 2 viable candidates to, we don't have any idea who the quarterback is. He may not even have been born yet. We don't know what's going on. So how do you go from one topic to the other in 2 months? I don't know. The Browns have always been special that way. But who knows? Now I think you change that. Now that bar is higher when it probably shouldn't be, because what you're asking, you're really not asking a 7-9 team to jump to 9-7. You're asking a 5-11 team to jump to 9-7. So if this year's team does go 5-11, and in reality all they did was tread water and stay the same, it's going to be looked as, well, you sunk. You went from 7-9 to 5-11. You're out the door, because that's what Jimmy Haslam does. So unless they don't go 8-8, I think he'd be out the door. I think just based on how you track these things from year to year, and the Browns' track record of booting people out the door, and that Pettin wasn't their first choice in the first place. We'll see what candidates are out there next year, and Haslam will show them the door. It's like, hey, you went 7-9 again. That's not acceptable. You're gone, and then we'll start all over again. Really unfair, and I don't wish him well. I don't wish him gone. I think he's going to get a raw deal just like Mangini did.
Now, Mike Pettin will fight. He's going to take people out in that office building on his way out, man. No, Mike Pettin's a fighter.
He's not going out. I'm more interested in watching that than many of the games the Browns are actually going to play. It's the day that they do fire Mike Pettin. I want to watch that.
Did you see? I love it. It's such an innocuous picture during the press conference yesterday. Somebody took a side shot of DeFilippo's face, but it just happened to be at a moment that Mike Pettin was turned and just listening to what he was saying, but he had the Mike Pettin look on his face, so it looked like he's just staring a hole through the guy. But if you watch the press conference, you realize that he was just turning his head and listening to what the guy was saying. But it caught the perfect Mike Pettin stare where you go, man, he already don't like the guy, man. He's like, what are you talking about? Talking about quarterbacks already?
Yeah.
But you know what I find funny, too, is he can sit there and say, well, I don't know nothing about Manziel all he wants. The day after he gets hired, first story comes out about them reaching out to Hoyer and seeing what they could figure out. Because I guarantee you, he said, listen, you guys look for somebody better, but you better make sure I got somebody here that can get us from A to B until we find that other guy, because I got to have something here, you know?
Yeah. And now the rumors are going to start that they're looking at quarterbacks. They're going to trade up to get Mariota or whatever. You know, now that begins. So every year, it's the same. Not only do the Browns hire either a offensive coordinator or a head coach, but they draft a quarterback. This is what they do.
Maybe not. I'm hoping that they go with the third or fourth round.
Totally. I'm not saying they should. I'm saying that that's probably what's going to. At least the rumors will start, and they'll gain traction as we go over the next 3 months, waiting for the draft. But that's the future. That's what we're going to get over the next few months leading up to the draft.
For sure. You know what else is in the future, my friend? We got to end this with a smile. Sunshine. Bright, sunshiny, spring training days. They are only 3 weeks away, my friend. 3 weeks, you and I doing
that's
this,
right.
And then
boom, there we go. This weekend, too. I mean, that's a perfect precursor leading up to, we get Tribe Fest, and then we have, I think, Truck Day is 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away, I think. And then, yes, glorious, glorious spring training.
Absolutely. Last night, Corey Kluber gets the Athlete of the Year at the Cleveland Sports Awards, and he got his first victory of 2015 in January. And you know what, too? And we'll get closer, but, man, I like it. Some of those guys already down there. Salazar's already down there. Ramirez is already down there. Jesus Aguilar. They've got some guys down there a month early getting ready. But I like Salazar. They said, hey, we want him ready to hit the ground running when this season starts, man. And, you know, I'm digging it. I'm already feeling it, man. It's a little chilly out, but it's warming me up knowing that we're close.
Totally it is. And, you know? And if God bless if the Cavs can continue to right the ship as they appear to have here over the last week or so, that can stem the tide, get us into, at least get us to the playoffs, you know, get us to the beginning of spring training, get us to the beginning of baseball. Yeah, so we may be able to make, if we can just avoid any Browns tragedies and travesties here over the next few weeks, we might make it through the winter. We got a long way to go, but there's hope. You can see that light at the end of the tunnel, that Arizona sunshine shining through the light at the end of the tunnel. We may get there after all.
That's it. It's on the horizon, my friend. JK, great catching back up with you as always, man. And we've only got 3 more of these conversations until spring training. So let's move on to the next one, man. Next week, hey, we'll look ahead to the Super Bowl a little bit, man. Talk a little bit about that. And as you said, hopefully the Browns don't even give us a reason to bring them up next week, at least not on the bad side of the ledger, you know?
We are never more happy than when we don't have to talk about the Browns. Yes.
On the bad side. Right? On the bad side. When it's good, hey, we can do that all day long. Problem is sometimes we got to stretch and reach. But anyways, JK, my friend, great stuff. Hey, next couple weeks, let's talk about the Wild Thing, baby. Major League book coming out too. Let's talk about that as well.
Yeah, we'll get some updates. We'll yes, absolutely. We will touch base on that and see where we are. Absolutely.
Sounds good. JK, have a great one. We'll catch up next week, my friend.
You bet, buddy.
You got it. The sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, back in the house. You guys can hit him up as always. J Knight with a K, writer, WRITER on Twitter. Hit us up at the Sports Fix CLE on Twitter. And if you can't remember, just say, hey, how do I get a hold of that Jonathan Knight guy? We'll direct you his way. Let's take a break. Phones are open. I want to hear from you. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. When we come back, let's keep the conversation rolling. Hour 2 on the way. Eddy Jansen will be joining us, talking Cavaliers and so much more. Don't go anywhere. But now, I want to hear from you. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Open floor for calls. Browns, Cavs, Indians. Where do you want to go? Take it when we come back. Next, here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the side!
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Kevin Winter. For the first time since 2001, Roger Federer is not going to be playing past the third round of the Australian Open. The four-time Aussie Open champ lost this morning to Andreas Seppi in 4 sets. A man who he had never lost to in 11 previous career meetings. ESPN's Sean McEnroe.
To say that was unexpected would be an understatement. Roger Federer came in fit. He came in sharp. He won Brisbane. He was playing well. There was no indication at all that Seppi would do this, but he stepped out in the court and you saw what was going on early. Roger wasn't right.
To put Federer's early to not make the fourth round in Melbourne 2001, Rafael Nadal had yet to be ranked as a pro. Day 5 of Deflated Football Talk, otherwise known as the week before the Super Bowl. First 24 hours ago, Bill Belichick said the Patriots said he had no knowledge of how football's allegedly lost to PSI during the first half of the AFC title game. Brady added yesterday afternoon he didn't know what happened. He did say he has yet to speak with the NFL on an ongoing investigation. Oh, Super Bowl 49, week from Sunday.
You want whiskey, but you don't want the whiskey burn. Trade in the harsh stuff for the light, easy taste of Canadian Mist. All whiskey, no bite. Drink responsibly. Canadian Mist, blended Canadian whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky.
You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there right away?
Hello, baby Michael there. Welcome back to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc back with you. We're going to hit the phone lines up. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Caller left a message on the hotline. You're the first one up here. Open phone segment on the Sports Fix. 216-539-7535. Here we go.
J-Rocc, very quickly, only the Cleveland Browns would hire from an organization even worse. J-Rocc, very quickly, only the Cleveland Browns would hire from an organization that's even worse than theirs, the Oakland Raiders. The new offensive coordinator that they just latched onto seems to be yet another bottom-of-the-barrel pick. Obviously, the Browns offered the position to others who were better and more qualified, and they took one look at the organization, look at the history of coaches, and said, thanks, but no thanks. This gentleman's reputation, obviously, with the Oakland Raiders as a quarterback coach, let me see, Terrell Pryor.
I don't know what happened there. Call got interrupted. Apologize about that. I get the point. Not popular. Let's go to the phone lines. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. That actually wasn't intentional. As the next call came in, it cut off the last. There was only 9 seconds left on that call, so I don't feel that terrible about it. But my man, the mayor, chiming in, get his point. Definitely understand that. Phone lines are open. It's open phone line segment as we roll into hour 2 of the Sports Fix. Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Let me set the stage before I take this next call. Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland joining us here just about 15 minutes from now. We're going to talk some Cavaliers hoops here as we roll on, but it's time to talk to you guys, and the phones are open. 216-539-7535. Caller, you're next up on the Sports Fix.
J-Rocc Daddy.
LG Daddy, what's happening, my friend?
Let me tell you something. JK, I just have to be in disagreement with him over Mr. Haslam firing Mike Patton when he has a 5-11 season this year. I'm not sticking up for Haslam in any sense of the word. I never thought he was the right guy to own the Cleveland Browns football team. He's a businessman. He's all about filling his pockets with money, as we both know. Getting into some of his business affairs. There's some shady things that take place. But I think Mr. Haslam's finally coming to his senses, J-Rocc Daddy, when he knows the Browns' urgency to find a quarterback that can be a consistent winner with this Cleveland Browns football team. Haslam also knows, we were 6-3, and then we finished at 7-9. That injuries took a toll on the Cleveland Browns football team. I mean, come on, we didn't have any receivers coming into this season. We made the most out of what we had. Cameron went out with a concussion. Josh Gordon was a very little help coming in. I don't know if he was pouting because his buddy Manziel wasn't throwing him the football, even though we saw when his buddy Manziel had the chance to throw him the football, it made no difference. But, last night at the 15th annual Greater Cleveland Sports Awards, Haslam said that he's fully in agreement with Mike Patton. The quarterback situation is indeed muddy in Cleveland. He said him and everybody else on the Browns front office have already talked to Johnny Manziel. They expect him to act like a professional both on and off the field, J-Rocc Daddy. And that's something they have very little control over. I have a feeling Mr. Haslam's patience are wearing thin. They know they made a mistake, I would say, drafting Johnny Manziel. I don't know if he's going to be able to get him to change his ways, but Haslam said they're going to work until they find the right person. And he said he wasn't slighting Connor Shaw or Johnny Manziel or Brian Hoyer for that matter. Haslam was seen backstage talking a lot to Cardale Jones. I know Jones wants to stay in college, but when you start talking with a billionaire, J-Rocc Daddy.
I hear you, though. I hear you. I heard his quotes, too, last night. Absolutely, man. And I'll tell you, though, I'm going to be honest, that's encouraging to me coming from the aspect of I hope that they're not setting their ways on Manziel. And I got to tell you, everything that I'm hearing sounds to me like they don't believe in none of the guys that are here. And they're going to keep looking until they find. We'll see, man. Let's not. Hey,
well, one of the topics you touched on with JK was the fact that after Flip came to town, they reached out to Brian Hoyer's camp. I mean,
absolutely. Boom. I love it. I love it because that guarantees you at least a stable starter or a fantastic backup, depending on what else you do at the position. Because to me, it's a two-pronged attack here. It's A, who's your veteran, and then B, who's your understudy. And those are the two decisions that the Browns will make simultaneously here with that.
Well, what the bottom line is, I think Pettin's going to be safe next year, no matter how the season finishes.
I hope you're right. I pray that you're right, LG.
They might go out and sign Mark Sanchez. I'm not saying he's the answer, but he is a free agent. Both Flip and Pettin have a long history with Sanchez.
I know, my friend. There's a lot of uncertainty there to begin with, and that's why I don't want to spend a ton of time on this today. Plus, it starts to make your head hurt.
But what I do want to say, J-Rocc Daddy, is I think you can rest assured that I don't think, no matter how the Browns finish the season this year, 2015, I don't think Mike Pettin's going to be the fall guy.
Brother, I hope you're right, because I hope that he realizes that there's a change again as well, and by he, I mean Jimmy Haslam, that there is a change again, and that there is, this is a work in progress. That's all I'm saying is no matter what and the schedule is tough as hell next year, just no matter what, if he wins 1 game, 5 games, 10 games, 15 games, whatever the heck he does next year, let him do it again in 2016. That is the only way that this thing will get
I don't think he has any
better.
Choice, J-Rocc Daddy.
Right, I agree. Otherwise, you're toast. You're toast in the water. And I did listen to what he said last night, and I thought that was, I'm with it, because right now, and again, talk is cheap, but right now, I'm not hearing anything that makes me go, I was suspect at the end of the season that they were dead set that we're going to force Johnny Manziel into this thing next season. Now, I do believe that they would like to find a way to let him be that guy, but I think they're smart enough to know that they can't plan on that. I pray that you're right. Mike Pettin thing, too, LG.
There's an old adage. Your grandfather or your grandmother might have told you when you were younger, you can lead a horse to water all you want, J-Rocc Daddy.
You can't make him drink, baby. That's it. Well, unfortunately, you don't have to make Johnny Manziel drink, but ooh, that's a zinger for a different day. LG, I got other people trying to get in on the phones. You got anything else? I got to take another call.
No, J-Rocc Daddy, that's all I wanted to tell you. I think Pettin can rest assured he's going to have a little bit of job security until they get this quarterback position straightened out, because Haslam said one thing that makes me think he's getting brighter to football knowledge. Now, if you look at the 8 teams that were in the playoffs coming down the line here, all of them had a winning quarterback.
He knows it. All of he knows that. It's as clear as my friend.
I like your
Holgram
adage from your little game with your buddy there, the Holgram thing. You're right, man.
Absolutely.
If you look at
LG,
Holgram,
my
nobody
friend.
knew quarterbacks like him. He took Whedon. That set us back a little bit. He got rid of McCoy. I'm not saying McCoy was the answer, but I think he could have competed.
No, but it was the whole chain of events.
At 22, huh?
The whole chain of events from there, it just got so much worse because you really had gotten to a place where you had assets, you had some little chance to get some stability and grow, and boom. And that's where we're at now. We're at that same place now where you go one way or the other. LG, my friend, I got to take another call.
Both Nick Foles and Russell Wilson sat there in the 2012 draft.
I know. Hey, we don't got. Let's not. Come on. Let's not relive Brandon Whedon. We lived through it the first time together,
I'm not trying to relive him, but I'm just going back to your thing that you were talking about that Mike Holmgren
You're right.
did some damage to his team that set us back decades, man. A decade.
Absolutely.
He's a robber.
I got you, man. I got you.
I'll
LG, great call.
J-Rocc Daddy, have a good show, buddy.
You too, brother. That's Larry from Cleveland Sports 360. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Phones are open. Next caller, getting ready to go to the phones. But quickly, LG, good segue. He brought up the Cleveland Sports Awards last night. Not only was it, a who's who of various sports personalities there, but awards given out last night. The Athlete of the Year in Cleveland, Corey Kluber. I mean, who else could have won it last year? Took the Cy Young. Of course, went 18-9 last season, nearly 300 strikeouts, 2.44 earned run average. Corey Kluber, the athlete of the year, moment of the. I chuckle at this one, but hey, maybe they'll have the correct one for next season. Moment of the year went to David Griffin for the scene at the opening game of the Cavaliers season here this year. Kevin Burke from Mount Union was the local collegiate athlete of the year. Kelly Stack from the women's hockey team, USA women's hockey team, amateur athlete of the year. The high school player of the year, Mitch Guadani, the quarterback of Hudson. I called one or two of his games throughout the season. 42 touchdowns for him as he took Hudson to the state semifinals, and a Lifetime Achievement Award to Tom Hamilton as he just wrapped up 25 years of play-by-play for the Indians. You guys know we were fortunate enough to have Hammy on the show not that long ago. His 24-year tenure, second longest in club history, next to his former partner, the guy who helped get him started, Herbie Score, who went for 34 years. Matter of fact, yesterday, couple of guys, we were tweeting a conversation about Tom Hamilton and being a legend, and somebody jumped in and said, hey, you guys throw the legend word around too loosely. And he named some great ones, Vince Scully, some other ones, and he said, Hamilton's good, but it's way too early for that word. And I said, man, pardon me, but 25 years, I'm sorry, man, in Cleveland sports, announcing, broadcasting, whatever, he's at the top of the top with whoever you've got in that grouping. Get out of here with that noise, man. I get it. You don't call a guy a legend because he had 5 good seasons or something like that. But when you're sitting on 25 and counting, and you are a man of the talent and personal quality and stature of Tom Hamilton, you fit the word legend in every definition. So I definitely disagreed with that fella, and we had to just agree to disagree on that one there. But Cleveland Sports Awards, always a cool thing. Cardale Jones picked up an award from Brohio for the national championship there. A lot of cool stuff, fun times had. Anyways, thanks. LG brought that up, and I wanted to talk about that anyway. So going back to the phone lines now, we'll pick it up from there. Don't forget, Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland, Cavaliers beat writer, joins us just about 7-8 minutes from now. We're going to talk some Cavaliers hoops with Eddy, but we're going to go back to the phone lines, take one more call here, and talk to you. Caller, you're next up on the Sports Fix.
Yeah, good morning, J-Rocc.
Good morning, Bruce. Technically, it's afternoon, my friend. I know Bruce anywhere, my friend. What's happening?
Not much. I wanted to go in a couple different directions here. One with the...
Let's do it.
My first question, obviously, is why does the national media always cite the Cleveland Plain Dealer for their articles?
Because it is the... it's the one. Like, we don't have, multiple newspapers. So usually when a national outlet goes to a local story, they target the main news outlet, and that is the Plain Dealer. I mean, I know where you are, and we both have some issues with different things with the Plain Dealer, but that's why. I mean, that's
the reason why I brought it up was because the main article today that they're talking about is the press conference last night, obviously, but they brought up Phil Savage about how he feels that Johnny Manziel is not being used the right way.
Hang on, tell me where we're talking. Is it like USA Today or something? What are we talking about?
No, NFL Network had a...
I got you. Okay.
Thing about Phil Savage saying that Johnny Manziel's more of the helter-skelter type quarterback. He's not your traditional quarterback, and that's the type of offense that the Browns should be running. More of the shotgun type, let's, call the play as a I guess as it's supposed to be.
It sounds like backyard football to me, man. That don't fly in the NFL, man. You can't do that. You can't run like that. You could run a Chinese fire drill every once in a while to try to get the other team off balance or whatever, but that doesn't. Well,
watching the interview or whatever that they were talking about, brought to mind that wasn't Phil Savage like 25 wins and 50 losses when he was here or something.
Yeah, Phil Savage was. He was here.
Yeah, he wasn't exactly the best GM that the Browns had hired.
Yeah, and then he's, of course, most known for getting into it with a fan. What did he tell them? If they didn't like it, they could F off or something like that.
Right, exactly. So, you know, I mean, there's your source that the plain dealer's going with, you know? It's like, you know, why even bring this guy back?
That always gets with me. I hear you on that, man. And you know what? There's a lot of things that I've learned since I got in radio and in this genre that I learned about how that works. There's reasons... And this is just business. There's reasons why there's a certain group of people that you'll always hear on the FM station in town, because a lot of the people that they use it on their shows are fellow national CBS, because it's a local outlet of CBS radio.
Right.
Same thing with the ESPN families. Same thing with the NBC Sports families. So that's where you'll get a lot of that, is they cross over. The NBC Sports crosses over with Pro Football Talk, and that crosses over a lot with Mary Kay and the Plain Dealer, which is why you'll always see Pro Football Talk quoted in there. You'll see NBC Sports stuff quoted in there. You can always... Phil Savage does things with certain websites, so that's why those guys end up. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it's easy connections like that. You know, I used to do the same thing at WHK. There'd be certain people. It's easier to get people that are already within the family, or in-house as they call it. You know what I mean? So, you know, those kind of things. So that's kind of where, and you'll notice that a lot of people...
that, you know, they brought up Phil Savage. I thought the guy was dead.
No, I hear you, but I mean, it's like we do the same thing. We have our own group, and that we have guys that nobody else has, because that's kind of like our group of guys, you know. So whatever. But I know what you're saying. Especially, I love it when somebody quotes. Well, I'm not. We can't start bashing our girl, but I love it when some people quote certain people here from the Plain Dealer, because all they do is quote other people anyway. So all we're doing is quoting a quote of a quote from somebody else's quote anyway, or repeating a source from a source of somebody else's source. But that's my own pet peeve about that stuff, man.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's why LG's column is always so refreshing, you know, because it's like, you know, right off
and
the
then
cuff,
people get mad.
Like,
people get mad. Listen, Larry's not right about everything. I'm not right about everything, blah, blah, blah. But first off, Larry is right about more than a lot of people want to give him credit for, because he doesn't sugarcoat. You guys see, if you listen all the time, if you follow us, the ones of you that follow us, you've seen Larry's articles, because he posts them on our pages, and he just calls it like he sees it, man. And again, you know, not right about everything, but right about stuff. And people just get so mad because he's like, look, man, I can't tell you something that I don't believe. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. But when it's not the same as what everybody else is saying, then people have a problem with it.
Well, you know, my outtake on the Browns is I never agree with Larry anyway, but, you know, his articles are always good to read, because it gives me a sight of things that I don't normally see.
Right.
Now, you know, like J.K. said today, you know, that, you know, where did the Browns' trouble start? It started when they came back, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
they were done in from the beginning. I mean, I think back around Christmas time, when I replayed that one with Tom Coughlin, where he ran down just how and it really was. There's way more than that. I know of at least one or two books that I read, I mean, long time ago when they came out. Terry Pluto did a good one about how the NFL set up the Browns to fail from the get-go when they put the franchise together. And it was because of what J.K. said. Part of it was because the other owners saw this instant success of Jacksonville and Carolina on the field. They got bonus draft picks. They got all kinds of other advantages. And if you notice, within 1 year, wasn't both of them in the championship games?
Yeah, in the playoffs.
So when the Browns came around, they were handicapped a bit there intentionally, because they didn't want a new team to hit the ground running, which is stupid, because especially the NFL was giving Cleveland their team back. You should have wanted that team to hit the ground running because of the way everything went down before. But that, plus they extended the process of finding an owner, because they squeezed an extra $100 million out of the process. But at the same time, like J.K. said, they pushed it so close that here you are 8 months or whatever before the season starts, and you're just now putting a franchise together, not just a team, but a franchise.
You didn't even know you were going to get the franchise until then.
It's ridiculous. And they were, and as Tom Coughlin, or Dan Coughlin, as Dan Coughlin brought up too, the switch to Lerner at the last minute changed who was going to run the franchise, because had it been the Dolans, as they attempted to do, they were going to put a football team in place with Don Shula, and Bernie Kosar would have probably ended up being a little piece of that too. But Don Shula was going to be the GM, and he was going to be the football mind. And I'm not saying he knows all, but that would have been a good start, and he would have been a better first GM than Dwight Clark.
Oh, exactly. Now, on my second thing here, where's all this money in baseball coming from? Have you seen some of these contracts?
It's TV money, man. It's a lot of that, man, is those big... The national deals are huge, too, but I'm with you, man.
I was going to say, the Washington Nationals are paying a guy 5 years after he retires.
I know. Think about that. Well, we were talking about that. The Mets are paying Bobby Bonilla for 20 more years, my friend. He hasn't played for 20 years, and he's getting paid for 20 more.
Well, I can understand that in New York, but in Washington, I don't think the TV revenue is that much. I mean, they're kind of like a Cleveland.
I got to be honest. I couldn't do a whole lot of this conversation because I don't know the ownership financial structure. I don't know their TV deals. I don't know what kind of money they're working with in Washington, but I agree with you that on the surface, that's not, New York, LA, that kind of thing. I don't think they have a local. I could be wrong though. Maybe they've got a massive local TV deal that I'm not aware of. I don't know, but you're right.
Me too, but I'm thinking, they got to have the same kind of contract that maybe Baltimore has, and Baltimore, obviously the owners have a little bit of money, but
same size as Baltimore. Yeah, it's about the same market size. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why are the Indians nickel and diamond on 37-year-old men and guys with rotator cuff surgery?
Listen, man, don't make me type into the Google search, how can Washington afford to pay all this money? Anyways, go ahead, Bruce. What else were you wanting to say?
No, that's basically it. I'm seeing all these teams making 800 trades and stuff, and the Indians are kind of sitting pat with people that have been out of baseball for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's kind of frustrating. You're waiting for the big bat to come along that's never going to come.
No, and I hear you, man.
Think
about it from hundreds of you guys, man. Indians fan. I mean, we got a pretty strong Indians following here because we actually talk Indians a lot, so we get a lot of people that hit us up about that stuff, and then I get the feeling what you just said. I totally understand that, man, but. I can also see, Jake, you heard Mike and I a little bit talking about this, where I can see where if you look at the way they ended the season, but I get where he's at. Are you going to be the club with the lineup that ended the season, or are you going to reinsert the guys? I get it. You're going to try to get bounce backs from these guys. But if it's not there, how long are we forcing the issue? How long do we go? Do we wait until August again? Do we wait until they get hurt? Because that was what got a lot of guys out of the way, as Mike brought up yesterday, was them getting hurt and being forced out of the way.
Exactly. Now, here's my point, is that we brought in Brandon Moss, who, to me is just another Swisher, which I don't want to mention his name on the show because something will happen.
Yeah, but, I hear you.
But,
by the way, real quick, let me interrupt you. I just did I wasn't joking about that Google search there, and right off the top, I'm seeing that the owner of the Nationals is one of the wealthiest owners in all of baseball. So there's first part of your answer right off the top there is he's personally one of the wealthiest owners. So apparently he's one of those guys that will invest in this thing if he needs to. So there's a big answer to that right there. I don't know about the Nationals money, but their owners got some dough for sure. Okay.
That would explain the the multi-year deal then. And but here's my point about the Browns have already the Indians have already bettered themselves with the defensive part of the team. I mean, we got rid of Azubal Cabrera, so, that should help. But, I'm real sketchy on the pitching, and, with Brandon Moss is not going to help us. They said something about, his average isn't going to matter what he hits as long as he hits 30 home runs and drives in 80 runs. How do you base your season on that?
Oh, I got you there, brother. I got you there. I mean, I'm not banking on anything there. They can bank on whatever they want. I'm not.
Yeah, they have to say stuff to sell tickets, but
right.
At least let's be honest about it. I mean, you're going to be close to 500. You may be 5 games better because of the defense, but you could be 5 games worse because of no offense. So, you're going to be around 500, but you're not going to contend for anything. Now with the team that
call me
right
glass half full. Call me glass half full, but I'm all right with go. Let's see what we're doing heading in here. I'm all right with. I'm not saying I'm jumping for joy. I really would have liked another bat there, man. But let's see what happens here too. Plus, I keep in mind, not that I expect the Tribe to do anything per se specifically, but there's a lot of guys still floating out there. There's a lot of moves still and counter moves to be made. There's free agents that we're going to go into spring training with some guys still looking for homes, man. So, it's not all said and done how this is going to break down heading into the season.
No, I understand that too, but they say that they're not going to bring Lindor.
But here's the thing. Look at what Mike was saying yesterday, man, as far as look at this whole division. The Indians are as good now as any team in this division. Are they good enough to win it? That's going to be decided by how it shakes out on the field. But they now, on paper, are right there. I mean, I think Detroit has taken a hit, man. I don't care what anybody says. But Mike's point yesterday was not just have they taken a hit, they're still maybe on paper stronger, as is Kansas City. Maybe just a bit. But they're both set up, and especially Detroit, where if they get some injuries, some old age stuff to hit them, it hits them quick, and that team could quickly have some trouble, or they could do their thing. So, you got to look at it in the context of the division.
Not only are they paying Price an outrageous amount of money to pitch for 1 year, but they're talking about putting Verlander in the bullpen.
Well, yeah, so,
that's
a whole nother discussion.
Their pitching staff's pretty much deployed.
Hey, you know what? I'm with you. We got a lot of baseball to talk about here. Spring training's coming. Tribe Fest this weekend, Bruce, and
I will be there.
People in the I know you're going to be there. That's why I brought it up. Start getting people in the mood. Everybody's in town. All the players got some legends here. I think tickets are as cheap as $10 to go down there and meet all your favorite Indians and get in the mood, because in a couple of weeks you won't be able to see them until opening day because they're heading to spring training.
Right, and if they're going to go to the Tribe Fest, tell them to get their tickets at Indians.com. Kids are free, under 12. If you go the day of the show, or the shows, it's $5 per kid to get in if you buy it at the door.
All right, there we go.
Other than that, the alumni will have a table set up of their own. As far as I know, that there's going to be at least 7 or 8 alumni players that will be there signing autographs.
El Presidente will be there, baby. Dennis Martinez.
And, Joe Askew, I believe, is going to be there from the 70s. Mudcat Grant, of course. 2 others. There's a few people that were Tribe fan favorites over the years.
Going to be a lot of fun, man. Bruce will be there. You guys get down there. Check out some Tribe Fest as well. Charlie Nagy will be there. Paul Andy Alomar, Martinez that we brought up, and all of the Indians, including Michael Brantley. And Bruce, great call, my friend. I appreciate it. Bruce, always a good phone call. You guys, phones, hit them up. all weekend long. 216-539-7535. We're going to talk to Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland when we come back about the Cavaliers. But I saw something interesting. I'm going to play it for you here in a minute. LeBron's been challenged here by the Boys and Girls Club, man. People keep talking about, is LeBron ever going to get... As a matter of fact, seriously, I actually had this discussion last night with somebody and then saw this video here this morning. So it was two separate deals, coincident or not. Maybe there is no coincidence. Things always happen for a reason. But I was telling a buddy last night, he goes, man, LeBron, man, he's never going to get in the dunk contest. I said, yes, he is. I said, I think I can see LeBron getting in the dunk contest if the All-Star game, when it happens here in Cleveland, which I believe will either be 2 or 3 seasons from now, the All-Star game will be here. But I could see him saving the one and only year that he enters it for being the year that it's in Cleveland, because then it would, have meaning and all of that stuff. But maybe not. Maybe he gets called out here. Young man from the Boys and Girls Club called out LeBron James to enter the slam dunk contest for charity. I'm going to play that for you now. Let's get the break out of the way, come back on the other side of it with Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Let's talk some Cavaliers hoops next on the Sports Fix. But first, LeBron James, you, sir, have been challenged to dunk the basketball.
LeBron inside on a rebound. LeBron James, you're a bad man. What's going to go down?
LeBron, I know it's been a tough year. Your shot's been off.
Airball by LeBron James.
And your team's been losing.
James dribbles it off his leg.
Your hairline's looking great, though.
He probably can do it.
You need to switch it up. Try something new. No, dude, not the coach. Think about it. What's the one thing all the greats have done that you haven't? I'm talking MJ, Kobe, even Birdman. Birdman, bro. Birdman. That's right. They've all entered the slam dunk contest. This is how Bron gets his swag back. Now, I know you think this is below you, so let's make things interesting. On the behalf of fans everywhere, I challenge you to enter the 2015 Sprite Slam Dunk Contest. But this isn't just a challenge. This is a challenge. That means that fans around the world can donate to your favorite charity, the Boys and Girls Club of America, on www.challenge.org. to do some good and encourage you to enter. But here's the deal. The Boys and Girls Club won't actually receive the donations unless you enter the contest. That's right, if you're too scared to enter, Challenge refunds all donations. So LeBron, if I were you, I would check out www.challenge.org right now. You better think long and hard about the dunk contest. You don't want to let the Boys and Girls Club down, do you? LeBron, my friend, I guess you could say the decision is up to you.
I'll tell you what you're gonna do, brother. You're gonna listen to the Sports Fix, cause the old said so.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, FantasyJocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
Football season is party season at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Everyone wins at Harry Buffalo. Every Saturday is Coors Light College Football Saturday with $6 pitchers, 4 bottles for $10, and the Buckeyes in full HD. Football season is most definitely party season, and your headquarters is Harry Buffalo North Olmsted all winter long. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Plagans, the voice of the Lake Erie Monsters, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rocc back with you here as we roll on in hour 2. My man, Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland, getting ready to join us here as we talk some Cavaliers hoops. Thanks to you guys. Hey, that last segment was great. Got a couple of phone calls in. You guys, I always appreciate that. And if you want to continue, perhaps that compelled the spirit in you to hear your voice on the airwaves of the Sports Fix, then give us a call all weekend long. Record it on the hotline. We'll play it next week or the next time that we're on the air, so on and so forth. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Can't get to the phones. You know how we do it. Facebook, Twitter, Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. And I played that little audio before the break. The young man calling out LeBron to slam dunk. And this will not be the season, sir, that he takes you up on that. If for no other reason than he's just getting himself healthy, and he is a different person in the last little bit. Difference, I said on Twitter, the difference a day or 4 or 5 makes. But let's talk about all that. Pick up right there. My man, Eddy Jansen, on the hotline. Beat writer for the Cavaliers for More Than a Fan Cleveland, and talking Cavs hoops here on the Sports Fix. Eddy, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, Jerry, and I would say happy Friday to you, but in the sports realm, I guess you could technically say that there really is no such thing as a Friday, because we're all got games to cover on weekends and busy on Saturdays and Sundays. But for what it's worth, happy Friday to you, Jerry.
No, absolutely. Same to you, my friend, and a happier Friday across Cavaliers land, much to be sure here this weekend, as since the last time you and I talked, a bit of the pressure let off, and that's the way I keep coming back to likening this thing with the Cavs. Not, the journey has reached the end of the tunnel, the way some people have fast-forwarded this thing, but I look at it more like the slit was put in the top of the bag, so to speak. The steam got out a little bit, and now we're starting to see a team come together, feel good about itself. Still have another piece here to add probably tonight or over the next game or two here with when Shumpert jumps back in the lineup. But, you can definitely see the entire difference. I'm going to sound like a beaten record here by the time this season's over. The effort on the defensive end is different. They have completely, and it's the makeup of the team. You and I talked at the beginning of these trades, but not caught back up since the team has begun to assimilate itself. The difference, particularly having a center, an actual center, just allows this team to play a style of defense that actually works. You can see the difference, and it's totally translating into everything else. It's all feeding off the renewed effort and energy on the defensive end.
Well, it has been for the last 2 games, at least, Jerry, because we do remember going back to Friday against the Clippers. The Cavs
Clippers is a different animal, yeah.
they did surrender 121 points, but that's a Friday night on the road against the Los Angeles Clippers, one of the better scoring offenses in the league. But putting the last 2 games into perspective with Chicago and Utah, I do have to acknowledge the fact that the Cavs did catch the Bulls at the most opportune time for the Cavs, because Chicago is dealing with, a thing or two here or there, all the rumors that Thibodeau is in trouble and the lack of cohesion between Noah and Pau Gasol finally catching up, and Noah's been hurt a little bit. So, still relatively untested, this new Cavaliers defense is for the most part. But, if there's one positive that you have to look at is that Timothy Mozgov is finally, immediately bringing some immediate defense to the floor for the Cavaliers, because it really gives the guards a little bit more confidence at the point of entry defensively, when they know that if their opposing guard was to go around them, then there would be a big man down low to try to swat the shot away. But the Cavs defense still going to be tested a little bit more, especially on Sunday when the Thunder come into town. And I think really the best barometer for where the Cavs defense is at this point is going to be on that day on Sunday at 3:30 on ABC, and the entire nation will see if this Cavaliers defense.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's why I prefaced what I was saying here about looking at it much more as a short-term, much-needed relief of the pressure and allowing you to now start doing some work. And Mike Brandenberry and I were talking a little bit of Cavs yesterday, and obviously you look ahead. Not just the next game or two, but you look through, you see a run of games where you've got some home games, you've got lesser teams that this is the time to put it, in no other term, make some hay, get some things going, start to put groups of victories together here and begin to start getting yourself in a groove. I mean, I said when the Cavaliers made the trades that I still didn't believe that it put them over the top as far as a championship team, but I believed that it made the team fit together better instantly. I thought that they'd be one of the better teams overall in the second half of the season, and then we'll see where they shake out when you get to talking about playoffs in the West. But, you have seen in those last couple of games that, this is much more what the Cavaliers hoped that this would start to look like by this point in the season. But you can see that when they play at their best, how good they can be. As you said, it's now a test of can you do it? Not can you, will you do it on a day in and day out basis? And that'll be the test of how far it goes on the other end of this season.
And it's really going to help to have the right guys in the right position too, Jerry. I mean, we seem to forget that for a while, David Blatt had Sean Marion as the starting 2-guard, and I think I've said this before, but it's probably been about a decade, maybe longer, since Marion has been at young enough and fast enough and athletic enough to be a guard. You saw guys like Mike Miller and Joe Harris standing on the 3-point line, for about 18 to 22 minutes a game. Well, that's not happening anymore because Smith is the guy to be patrolling around the arc. And eventually, once they get Shumpert back, I'm really excited to see how he and Kyrie kind of gel defensively. I think the hope is that some of the defense from Shumpert up top is going to kind of rub off on Kyrie, so that Kyrie will be able to take that next step. I mean, Irving has played much better defense this season than he did a year before, but I think that Shumpert has a chance to make him even better. And then, stretching the floor with not just a legitimate three-point shooter, but a very good three-point shooter in J.R. Smith. He might be a little streaky from time to time because he did go just 2 for 11 from behind the arc in the Utah game, but a legitimate presence for Smith is going to open things up down low for guys like Love and Thompson, and especially Mozgov, who has not only been active on the boards, but he's done his fair share offensively. If they can get 14 to 15 a night from Mozgov, along with the ability to protect the rim, then they're going to be in good shape moving forward in the second half of the season.
Oh, for sure. You brought up I want to go somewhere else at what you said, but you mentioned Kyrie in there. I said it the other day. I went so far as to say I thought his energy and effort on the defensive end against Utah may have been just the best personal defensive performance I've seen Kyrie give, or I'll put it up there with any other one that he's done in his whole tenure so far with the Cavaliers. He just, I brought up what AC and Fred were talking about on the TV broadcast, how he was moving and thinking as fast on the defensive end as he has offensively, and it's beginning to come more natural for him there. And as we know, when it's more natural, you move a half a step faster and all of that. But do you agree with that? Because I really thought I saw a noticeable uptick. I thought it was one, like I said, one of, if not the best, just defensive effort performance in his NBA career.
Well, Jerry, from what I see at the Q on a nightly basis from Kyrie Irving is a willingness and an ability to communicate a little bit better, with his guards and with his bigs as well. And the other thing, too, Jerry, is that communication on the offensive end can actually help you out quite a bit on the defensive end of the floor, because when you get set in your offense, it makes life much easier in terms of getting back on defense. That's one thing that the Cavs could probably do a little bit better as of late in trying to pick up the pace defensively is, get back to the other end of the floor and try to limit the transition buckets. But I think when Kyrie calls a play and when they execute that play, they put themselves in better position to set up on the other end of the floor. And that's what I've seen from Kyrie Irving. It's been a big difference from year 3 to year 4 for Irving. And, like Blatt has said time and time again, just playing on the men's USA basketball team has taught Kyrie so much about the game that he didn't really know before. His perspective on basketball prior to that might have been, well, I'm Kyrie Irving and I have to take over the show because nobody else is going to do it. Well, now he's a little bit more serene. He's got a serene mindset. He's trusting his players, and he's trusting in LeBron, too. And it really helps to have the St. Vincent St. Mary's product back and helping you orchestrate everything defensively and offensively.
For sure. And by the way, speaking of the two of them together, LeBron named, of course, starter to the All-Star game. Doesn't have the most votes, and Curry got that. But Kyrie, not that I'm going to cry because he's making $90 million, but not getting the starting nod going to cost him upwards of, $8-10 million here, because that would make him a, with the Derrick Rose deal with the contracts, where if you get two consecutive, in your first grouping of years there, all-star starting nods or MVPs, it takes you to a special level where you can go even higher with your max contract when it kicks in next year. So had Kyrie been named a starter again here this year for the All-Star team, he would have made an extra $9 million or so. So again, you don't cry for a guy making 90 going to 100, but that's a mighty costly, however many thousand votes there that cost him that. Somebody else you brought up, J.R. Smith. I'm curious, it's a 6-game sample size here that he's been here, and there's honeymoon periods everywhere. I was never worried just on the basketball court, although I was worried about him taking bad shots all the time, because when he gets in a funk and his attitude's wrong, we've seen it go bad other places. I was worried about his attitude in general when he came here, but man, where are you at? Because I'm good with the J.R. Smith we've gotten so far, even though statistically, since Dion left, him and J.R. Smith kind of in the same area, 18.5 a night over there, and in 6 games, Smith's at about Cavaliers. But where are you at with what he continue to shoot? It's one thing to jack up 40, 50 shots here like he has, but he's nailing half of them as well.
I mean, that's the thing, Jerry. I mean, he has made this his bread and butter from when he said, when in doubt, shoot the ball. He really meant it, and he's not trying to do anything differently here in Cleveland now that he's got 2 very legitimate running mates with Irving and James as opposed to Carmelo Anthony in New York. But the thing about J.R. Smith is it just depends on a nightly basis whether he's going to get the open shot or if he's going to have to shoot contested ones. And when you see him chucking up shots that are contested when he hasn't really found that rhythm, you kind of lean back in your chair and say, oh boy, here we go again, another miss for JR. But shooting the standstill threes when Kyrie and LeBron and Kevin Love are handling the ball, I think those are the more favorable shots that JR would like to take. I think those are the shots that Blatt himself would like him to take. Like I just mentioned before in the Utah game, under 20% from the three-point line with 11 shots taken, you say, well, not a very good night from the three-point arc for J.R. Smith. But, he's always been a streaky shooter no matter where he's gone throughout his NBA journey. But, as long as he's in his zone, playing aggressive and taking the shots, either when they are there or when he feels it, I think that'll be a big beneficiary to the Cavs, try to help stretch the floor and try to make everybody a little bit better.
And, of course, he'll probably most likely switch roles back to that more comfortable six-man role where he excels. Right now, of course, he's filled the gap there in the starting lineup. And I brought up, too, something else yesterday when we were talking. And I say some people say all the fluffy, feel-good stories are just hype for the media. I don't agree. I know how athletics and locker rooms and brotherhoods and all of that stuff goes, man. But I do believe that, you can see... And it's not just winning heals everything and play. You can see a little more bond, a little different inners on the court. And I think that somebody that overlooks Sean Marion and him coming out to the team privately a week or two back and letting them know that he had figured out that he was going to call it a day at the end of this thing. I don't think that maybe it's not, a big, huge reason, but it's definitely, I think, a unifying factor where if things go well, you look back and you go, man, or fans as a team, that's where you look back and go, man, we point back to the day that, Sean Marion called us in that circle and said, hey, guys, let's go out with some fun because this is my last one, and it kind of brought us together. I think those kind of things do go more than some people give credit, but what do you think about that thought that perhaps that's got something to do with perhaps bringing them together as a group, much like going bowling in L.A., those kind of things working together to give you a difference than just business, that you get that gelling that you have to get?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of the timing of Marion coming out and announcing his retirement. And it definitely does have the potential that kind of to galvanize the team, so to speak, and try to make them more unified. Say, hey, let's make one big run for Sean. But right. I know that the thing with him is he's got an 8-month-old child, and very difficult to watch a young child grow up through photos online or just hearing a voice over the phone. I think probably his main motivational factor was that he does want to be closer with his child, and if he's going to have any more children in the future. But yeah, Jerry, I do think you're onto something. I do think the timing of Marion's announcement was ironic during a 3, soon-to-be 4-game win streak, having it come on Wednesday against Utah. So yeah, you never know. They could definitely use a little bit of a shot in the arm like that, and we'll see if it works.
And I'll tell you what, looking ahead here, seeing what works as we talk about them now finally perhaps having their full complement of players, this next stretch, I'll tell you, I don't know if people have looked at the schedule and realized the Cavaliers tonight, just in the next 8 days, have a stretch of 6 games in 8 days here, man, from here looking through to next Saturday. You've got Charlotte, of course, the big one that you brought up with Oklahoma City coming up on Sunday. Then you go off to Detroit for one on Tuesday. You're right back to the Q for Portland on Wednesday. I'll be down for that one. Sacramento comes in on Friday, and then a week from tomorrow, you're on the road in Minnesota. So back and forth, you've got a couple of road games and a couple of, 4 home games, 2 road games, but 6 games in 8 days, a wide variety of challenges. Oklahoma City, Portland, they lose Aldridge. That's a tough one for them here. He's going to be out for a while with that injury yesterday, but still a tough squad there. You get to see Kevin Love's old running mates at some point in there with Minnesota, the Kings, the Pistons. You got a lot of different challenges starting here with Charlotte, but 6 in 8 days is tough for anybody.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you the difficulty just to play in this league. I mean, this is definitely not the first time that we've talked about 4 games in 6 days, or 5 games in 7 days, or 6 games in 8 days. I mean, these are more common in today's NBA market to try to squeeze games in, throughout the tightness of the season. But they do have the All-Star break in the middle of next month to look forward to. But 6 games in 8 days, Cavaliers bench is going to have their work cut out for them, and definitely going to be a critical time to see with Shumpert where he is at, how much he can currently contribute to the team. He is going to come off of the bench tonight against the Charlotte Hornets, but can he get back to 100%, or how long will it take him to get there after the shoulder injury? Can he work his way back into the starting lineup alongside Irving and James? And now the 6 games in 8 days is going to be a very critical time for the bench. And even if the Cavaliers want to go out and get another player, say a Jordan Farmar, or maybe even another big, I think all of those things we'll probably find out before the All-Star break comes in mid-February.
I'll tell you what, I actually look at it from a flip side as a good thing here, because you're just now getting Shump here. You've just got everybody else kind of fusing together. Sometimes you just want to get back out on the floor and play. Practice is great and all of that, but, they can do that here. I know you're going to be, tested cardiovascularly, conditioning and all of that, but, hey, man, tomorrow you get back out. Like, look at the end of this week. We say, 6 and 8, but it gets really tough at the back end of it. 4 games in 5 days. You've got the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday with just the off day Thursday in between. But perhaps, as I was saying, when you want to get a group together, the last thing you want is time off. You want more time on the field, more time on the court, whatever it may be. So they get that here. So it could be a good thing there, because you get a chance before you get the break of the All-Star break. You get the chance to assimilate these pieces together, stretch it in a little bit, maybe a little bit higher, harder than you wanted to, but you get a break at the All-Star break. Then you bring those pieces together and see what happens for the final third of the season.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, Jerry. I mean, they have talked about not having much practice time, between games. But, in some way, shape, or form, it's good to actually, so to speak, practice during games. I mean, that's probably the best thing that's going to get them. That's going to ultimately going to be the best thing that will get them in their zone, is time together in a real game, not exactly a simulated situation, but just trying to galvanize and gel between each other on the floor is probably something that they could use, and definitely could be something that they could use to their advantage, like you mentioned.
Well, they better, because they've got a lot of it coming their way here. This weekend, tonight, Charlotte at the Q, 7:30 tip-off on that one. Sunday, the big one we mentioned earlier, OKC, 3:30. That one's a national TV game on ABC. And then they've got those back-to-backs coming up next week we'll get into that here next week. But by the time you and I talk, we'll see some games. We'll see perhaps the debut of Shumpert with the Cavaliers in that jersey. So we've got some things to talk about. And, of course, the big one with the Thunder. Looking forward to it. Should be some good Cavaliers basketball. A lot of chances for Cavs fans to see them on the court. And some stuff for you and I to talk about next week.
Absolutely, Jerry, and not only that, but Dion Waiters returning to the queue on Sunday with the Thunder. Going to be interested to see what he has to say and the bulldog mentality that he will bring against Kyrie Irving and company.
As Dion said the other day, funny what happens when they give me the ball. All of a sudden, he took a few shots there at the Cavaliers, but you've got that one there too. Dion Waiters coming back to the queue. My man Eddy Jansen, looking forward to you coming back to the Sports Fix next week and talking about all of that and more as we continue to talk Cavs hoops throughout this season.
All righty, Jerry. Take it easy, my man.
You got it. Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Check them out, mtafcleveland.com. At Eddy Jansen, EDDY Jansen, and the number 3030 at Eddy Jansen 30 on Twitter. Here on the Sports Fix every week, talking some Cavs hoops. Let's take a break. Final break of the day. When we come back, we'll set the stage for the weekend. Vikings back in action. Monsters with the victory, and so much more when we come back. Final segment of the Sports Fix coming up next.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear is finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth, down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet,
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing.
What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Ohio knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family-friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hi, this is Dean Chenoweth, head coach of Cleveland's Lake Erie Monsters, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, final segment of the show here, kicking it off. Coach Chenoweth of the Monsters there. You heard him just a second ago. And Monsters victorious yesterday at the Q. The San Antonio Rampage came to town, but they got rampaged on. Monsters took care of business. Multiple goals in just a 5-second span late in the game. Put the final touches on a 6-2 Monsters victory. Monsters outscored, there's a crazy stat here. Monsters outscored the Rampage 4-0 in the third period, despite being outshot 13-10 in the period. Monsters, much needed victory there, takes them above 500 once again now on the season. They've won 3 of their last 5. San Antonio had a 2-game winning streak snapped. Each team has 1 game left in the well, it's not exactly the first half, but you know how that works out. But the first half of the slate before the AHL All-Star game, there's 1 game left. Those 2 teams do it again on Saturday. They'll drop the puck at 7 p.m. for Cleveland Rocks nights at the Q. Always fun. They have Cleveland sports themed jerseys, all kinds of different giveaways and things like that. Cleveland Rocks night is always one of the more fun nights at the Q, so check that out if you hear this before it happens. Final game of the first half of the season there for the Monsters. Final game of the already happened in the NHL as well. They've got their All-Star game coming. We're at that point here. Basketball is still a few weeks away because they decide to play almost 2/3 of their season before the All-Star break, but you've got the NHL game in Columbus going on as well. So if you guys are into hockey, lots of hockey goodness for you this weekend. Basketball, of course, we just talked about. Cavaliers having a couple of big ones here. You've got Charlotte tonight. Should be another opportunity to grab a victory. You don't want to look ahead, but Charlotte's been scuffling this season, 18-25 coming into this one as they head in. 7-12 on the road. Cavs riding the waves of this 4-game winning streak here. And then the question, which I can't answer for you right now, will be Iman Shumpert. Does he, as many people expect, become active tonight and make his team debut? And if he does, that'll really extend the depth. And as we said, it's a good stretch here for them to not only get the extra player and get the extra depth, but start to get that. You need to get those pieces working together quickly because you're, using up real estate throughout the season already. So I kind of dig them having so many games coming up over the next week plus, and then you head into the All-Star break there. So Cavaliers, Hornets tonight, and then the return of Dion at the Q and Thunder, big national TV game Sunday afternoon. But not only that, Hoops fans, the Vikings, Cleveland State back in action tonight, 7 p.m., Vikings at it. So, hey, man, if you're not going to the Cavaliers, maybe you'll go see the other team in Cleveland above 500. I know I can't take that shot at the Cavs now because they've got themselves above it too. But Vikings, Detroit tonight, 7 p.m. tip at the Wolstein Center. You can't make it. It's all over the place. It's on 1420 WHK. It's on ESPN3. Vikings all over that with the expanded Horizon League coverage on the ESPN platforms this year. CSU 11-9 overall. They're tied for first place in the Horizon League. They've won 4 of their first 6 league games on the road. Vikings finished that last road trip 2-1. Final game they played was that 74-61 victory last weekend over Youngstown State. Detroit, they're 10-10 on the season, but they've won 4 of their last 5 games, so they're coming in off of an exciting overtime victory over Northeastern the other day. And in overtime, they just went to town, man. 81-69 is the score. You go, man, how was that an overtime game? They rolled the team they played in overtime 21-9. Vikings 7-2 at home. Detroit 3-6 on the road, but they've won their last 2 road games. All-time, Detroit leads the all-time series with the Vikes 37-20, but the Vikes have won 5 of their last 7, and both head-to-head matchups last season. Vikings at home tonight, Detroit, 7 p.m. tip-off. We'll talk about that on Monday. We'll talk about the Buckeyes. By the way, Buckeyes with the victory yesterday as the Buckeyes hoop squad still feeling themselves out throughout the season. As we said, Monsters this weekend, NHL All-Star Game here. There's a Pro Bowl happening, and I think I spent as much time talking about it as I'm going to spend watching it, which was like 5 seconds. But, hey, man, it's the second last, I can't even call it that, man, football game of the season, but I think I'd rather watch the Combine. At least somebody's trying to, not really, that one's pretty bad watching too, but maybe as intriguing as the Pro Bowl. All of that, though, going on this weekend, Tribe Fest. There is a truckload of stuff to get into, so get out. Enjoy you can't enjoy the weather here. Maybe where you're at, you can enjoy it. Get out, man, do some things. Come on back and do it with us here on Monday. Thank you to Jonathan Knight, sportswriter extraordinaire, for joining us, as well Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Thanks to you guys. Bruce, Larry, Mayor called in earlier on in the show. Monday, John McMullen from the Sports Network. We start previewing. It's Super Bowl week. We'll start moving in that direction. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. He'll be here as well Monday as we kick off another week. So, guys, enjoy this veritable feast of things to do here this weekend. Whatever it is, get out there, have some fun, do it. Come on back on Monday, and let's talk about it all. Same bad time, same bad channel. You know the gimmick by this point in time. Across the Sports Fix Radio Network, live at noon here on Monday. Man, there we go, man. I just saw on my Twitter timeline I was right. It was actually noon. When we went on the air was the beginning of the screening of the world premiere of The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. Oh, hey, yeah, there's a Royal Rumble this weekend, too. But The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts has been screened just about 15 minutes ago. It finished. So I can't wait to get out here and read some reviews on this thing. I guess I'll find out how I did, because I don't have the slightest clue what they did. I filmed over 3 hours of interview footage thinking maybe they were going to use a clip here and there, but I don't know. Perhaps they used more than that. We'll have to find out. Either way, it's done now. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, so I don't know. Maybe the haters will be out in full force when I do this little Google search a little later today. So wait, don't look it up until I do. I'll tell you whether it's safe to look. I'm just kidding. Curious to see how it goes. I'm even more curious to see the doggone thing. And since I've talked about it so much, actually a few of you guys have asked me, I will, when it is released, I will be an outlet for it. You'll be able to get it from me. I'll be able to sell these online and all of that. So I'll be able to distribute them myself. And let's see. Oh, before I go, one last thing. Tonight, 13:30 a.m., WINTradio.com. Check me out. I'll be out at Willoughby South, the scene of the crime from the other day when they stole that fantastic game from Solon the other day. I'll be there tonight, 7:30 tip-off, pregame show, 7:15, Geneva at South. Boys basketball tonight on 13:30 a.m. and WINTradio.com. All that leads to Monday. I'll be back here. So will you, I hope, and I'll see you then. I love you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday right here on the Sports Fix.
Place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severance Hall to see an orchestra.
Hey. We rep our city.
Yeah.
Blue lights separate the ground from the gritty. We're sick fitted. Hood class cover any city that we visit. When you're from Cleveland.